Guys, I just want to make a quick video on these crops farmer dApps. I've been talking about these. This one just launched today, the BNB version, and I just wanted to run through some of the figures and some changes that were made on the BUSD and the USDC versions, and I can show you how they made those changes in the contract. So, like I talked about, BNB just released. It released today. And there's some things I wanted to mention. Remember that the referrals on these are not like baked beans. They are lower. They're almost half of what baked beans is offering. I guess they still are offering, which is they're offering 12.5%, which is it's not 12% like they're talking about on their site. So this one's almost half. It's 7%, and these ones do not give you referrals when somebody used your referral and then they compound. It's only on the initial investment. So be aware of that. It's not going to have that bleeding that baked beans is experiencing right now. So that's not going to happen. I mean, of course these are contracts. They are very high risk. There's no additional investment coming into these. These are paid by the basically the deposits of future users. So be aware of that. These are super high risk. They're still considered, some of the most risky things you can get in DeFi. So be aware of that. But knowing how these work and understanding, when the contract's going up and when things are coming down and things like that, and just the way these things work, they're a little different than just the ROI dApps. These ones, force you to compound. They've kind of forced that long tail on the backside of the contract. So I'm not saying this is where you're going to make income for years. This is a months long play. It's not something that's going to be you're going to be making income in 2025 on. So just be aware of that. So one thing that BNB Crops Farmer did that was different than the rest, they changed this one. Instead of 5, I think they started with 5 and then they moved up to 6 times on the other two. This one does it 10 times. So that is 5 days, because you can compound every 12 hours. So that's 5 days of compounding required before you can withdraw without a tax. And they upped this tax from 60% to 80%. So if you withdraw early on this, before you hit that 10 times of compounding, you're hit with an 80% tax. And to answer somebody's question, yes, this 80% goes back into the contract. It doesn't go to the owner of the dApp. So that's what launched today. Now the BUSD version, it originally launched and it had, I think it was 5 times, 5 or 6, might be 6. It required, I'm pretty sure it was 5. So you had to compound for 2.5 days. And then you could withdraw without, then it was a 60%. Now they moved up to 80% as well on this one. And, a lot of people might be asking, well, how can they do that? Is this just a front end change? No, it's actually in the contract, and I can show that to you. So they went back to these ones and made those same changes on these ones, which I think is great. I don't know if people are going to be angry all of a sudden, they're up to 6 times compounding and they want to withdraw and then it makes them do 4 more times. I don't know. I think it's actually very good. So, and I can show that to you. The one thing that, people have been telling me is they're not too worried about this. This one I still think is too high, that 48 hours. I think it should be more like 36 or somewhere in there. And that's because after you're done compounding, you could wait 2 full days and take 2 days of reward instead of just 1. So you do more like a 5 and 2, which isn't terrible compared to a lot of people that can just withdraw. But you can't just do that 5 and 1 or 6 and 1, because somebody can stretch that out to 2 with this 48 hours. They could just compound for 5 days and then wait 48 hours and hit withdraw and get 2 days worth of rewards. I mean, it's not terrible. At least there is a limit there. At least they can't just compound 10 times and then wait 5 days and take out. That would be horrible. So it's still decent. So let's look at the contract here. Then the BUSD, like I've mentioned before, if you look in these contracts, if it's not the main token on the chain being BNB, you have to look in this drop down. And that's where you're going to see the BUSD in the contract. And as you can see, it's well over $1 million now. It's 1.25 million. So it's been doing very well. So in the contract, let me show you guys this code here. And you might, if you've seen my video on baked beans on the toasted AVAX, where they could actually change the return rate that you get, and it could be sky high. They can change the return rate in this one as well, but it's not as bad as that baked beans one. Let me get down to it here. I think it's down, yeah, it's down in here. All right, so down here, this is where they can change the return, but it has values where it has to be between. So they can make it between 3% and 12%. They can't ramp it up to like 10,000% or 1,000,000% and wait 5 minutes and then take a big chunk out. They can't do that. The highest they can go is 12%. So they've created a way that they can change it, but then they also put bounds around that so that it can't be abused, and they actually kind of put guardrails around themselves when they change these, which I think is great. The other one is this is an owner tax, and right now it's a 10% max. So they can change the owner fee, just be aware of that, but they can't change it more than 10%. The referral fee, they can change that as well, but it can't go above 10%. This is the divisor for the eggs that you get. They can change that, but it can't go above that 2%. Here's the withdraw tax. This one they created so they can up the withdraw tax up to 80%. I would have made this thing like 99%, just so if people were, still using that withdraw, and that 20% is still, if people have huge amounts in there or something. That's one thing that they could do. I mean, all of them are now set to 80% on all 3 dApps, so that's the max that could go up. Let's see. They could change that one. The daily bonus, they can change that one as well. Let's see, where was that? The withdrawal cooldown. They can even, change the deposit limit. Yeah, they can change all these things. Daily compound bonus max times. I think that, no. Let me look. I know they put that in here. Yeah, this is a cooldown. This is for it's usually like a 4-hour cooldown. So after your last compound, you have to wait at least 4 hours before you can withdraw. Yeah, so they can do all these things, and it's kind of great that they can do it, but they also put guardrails around themselves in doing it, so they can't just crank up the rates really high or anything like that. So that's how they can just change this stuff in these dApps. So yeah, like I said, this one, the Crops Farmer, it launched. Let me look at the contract. Yeah, it's up over $889,000 in one day, so it's going pretty well. Lots of people still hiring. Obviously, they can't really withdraw right when they join, because you have to withdraw or compound 10 times first. So that's something that's very good. Looks like somebody actually made it to their 12 hours already, and they can hire more farmers, which is great. So Yeah, these things, the rate, is at 6%. I think they left the BUSD. Yeah, they left it at 8%. So you are making more on your BUSD. I'm kind of torn because the BUSD, I like the stable coin, but the BNB, somebody asked me, is it better to get in the BUSD because it's stable coin? It's like, well, it's really up to you. Whether you get into these is up to you, honestly. But if you want something with a stable coin that's not going to change in value, it's easier to track because you know exactly what you're going to get in return. Maybe the BUSD is the best thing. BNB, a day like today when everything's down, you might consider, if you think this is the dip, this might be a good time to get some BNB and throw it in something like this. If you anticipate it going up, it depends on you and your risk, your strategies, what you think is going to happen with like BNB. So that's totally up to you. This daily return right now is lower, but if BNB also goes up 10% in the next few days, it might be helpful. So yeah, that one's really up to you. Whether you get into these is up to you as well. So just remember that this is not financial advice. I'm not saying these things are super safe investments because they are high risk. Just be aware of that. Anyway, guys, another couple things. Baked beans is still kind of falling. I looked at Moon Arch, and I think right now let me actually grab Moon Arch and I can show this to you guys. I don't know what kind of deal Moon Arch made with baked beans, but they gave them their own little special slot up here. All the yellow ones are actually paid. They actually paid to be up in here in this yellow section. And then today, all of a sudden, baked beans showed up here on the top with this line. I don't know. They must have made some special deal with Moon Arch to have a special section, or Moon Arch is being driven by baked beans. I'm not sure. I've reached out to Moon Arch for advertising for other things, and this was not an option. You couldn't be like the featured one on top of everybody else. So it seems like these guys made an exception for baked beans, which I'm not in total agreement with. But if we look at the TVL, baked beans is at 9,778,000, and Drip Garden is at 9,879,000. So I just saw a YouTube video of somebody saying baked beans is the king of the hill. Well, they just fell below the other one. They just fell below Drip Garden, which if you look at the mechanics, it's very similar to these miners. So that's what's going on, is their total value has dropped below Drip Garden. So they are no longer the king of the hill, even though they might put them up here. Anyway, guys, that's what's going on. I'll leave links to these crop farmers dApps. If you want to use them, go for it. It's how I fund the channel. I'm not saying you should use these, or this is, I'm not saying this is financial advice that you should jump in these. I'm saying that these are high risk, but these are just some options that are out there. These are kind of my favorites out there in the very high risk category right now. Anyway, guys, like the video if you like it. Hit subscribe if you want to subscribe. Oh yeah, I was going to mention I'm starting a Telegram group, and I've got that set up, so I'll leave a link down below in the description for that group if you want to join. It's just supposed to be, talking about different ideas and dApps that you find, and just general, anything you want to talk about in there. Anyway, guys, again, like the video if you like it, hit subscribe if you want to subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.